When we talk about note taking, one of the first things to understand is why it's so important. Because obviously it takes extra effort on your part. So you want to be sure that you understand, is this really worth it? And there are three key parts that really go into understanding why it is so important for you to take notes. The first part has to do with retention. So retention just means your ability to retain or remember new information. And when you're taking notes, your ability to retain the information is greatly enhanced. There have been studies done where they have found that students who took notes during a class were 7 times more able to remember the information a week later compared to students who didn't. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the brain research lesson. When you are writing down new information, whether it's from reading or a lecture, your brain is working through many different processes that don't happen if you're only listening. So processes like prioritizing information, summarizing, sequencing, connecting new information to what you've already learned, your background knowledge, all of those things are happening while you're taking notes. The second purpose is to have a record of your own thinking. So we know that when you are writing down something by hand, you're putting yourself, just that act of writing, you're putting yourself in time and place, and your brain locks that experience in. And so when you think back on that information many times, you're more able to remember it fully because you remember where you were when you learned it. The other thing about having a record of your thinking is that you can look back at what happened in the class or what happened in the text, and you can point to a place where maybe you got confused. You can identify a question that you had and follow up with the teacher or find out more on your own about it. The third is around the ability to review. So if you have taken notes in a good way, and we'll talk about how to do that later, if you've taken good notes, then you've given yourself a structure through which you can review the information more easily. And so one of the reasons that you take notes is so that you do have a place to go back to and fill in more information, to go back to and talk it through, maybe even use those notes as a study guide for yourself, talk with a friend about it. Verbalizing what you learned is very important. And it gives you a place where you can go back and look it over frequently. So generally we say that after taking notes in a class, you want to review those, look them over, fill in more information that same day if possible. Even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, review it right after that class. But then, as you're leading up to the main task of the unit, you're probably going to want to go back to those notes a few more times because your information is building over the course of the unit. And so you're always wanting to build your knowledge through the notes that you've been taking. So those are the three main reasons why learning is really enhanced by note-taking. Retaining information, having a record of your own thinking, and giving you a place to review your information.